Hi, I'm Chab Hunter, and welcome to another episode of Classic Hollywood on Horses.
As an actor, Patrick Swayze leads a very public life. On screen, he's been seen dirty dancing, breaking up barroom brawls, and fighting the Civil War. But off-screen, the private Swayze's a rough-and-tumble cowboy from Texas. This side of him can be seen at Rancho Bizarro, Swayze's hideaway on the outskirts of Hollywood.
You've got the best of both worlds out here, there's no question about that. You've got your work in town, and out here it looks like you've got a little touch of Texas with a few hills, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's going to be nice when I'm done with it. We're about tripling the square footage to the house, and we just finished the pool, which is, got boulders built in the side, a little waterfall.
Beautiful.
It's going to be like walking through a trail to get to the swimming hole when we're done with it.
And then the back side of the house, you got all this wonderful land, and you got your horses right in your backyard. I think that's the envy of a lot of horse lovers. They'd love to have the horses right in the backyard.
It was my dream for a long time. I'd been away from horses for 15 years. I grew up with them, and then sort of became a city boy living in New York and dancing with ballet companies and then the Broadway shows and stuff I did. And then I came out to California, and that was my biggest focus, is to work enough to get out of Hollywood.
How did you first start? At what age, and where was this? In Texas, obviously?
Yeah, Houston, but before Houston grew up, we in the north side of Houston, a place called Brant Stables. My dad was a cowboy, and my grandfather was a cowboy, and my grandfather, he's like typical old cowboy. His legs had been broken against fences many times, and my dad's dream, he was like a displaced cowboy. I say this, and I believe it. It's like a cowboy that fell in love with a very intensely talented big city girl.
Yeah.
And he became an engineer, moved away from his cowboy roots. We wound up, as Houston grew up, we wound up selling our horses when I was around 14. And so I've been without horses for about 15 years, and it's always been real important to me. And
to get back to them.
Yeah, and especially for my father. I always dreamed about, building a ranch and having him run it, and
nice.
And handle the horses and handle.
When you were a little boy, did you ride much as a kid?
Yeah, and I did, a little bit of bull riding.
Yeah. Bull riding, I'm impressed.
Well, actually, the way this is a very Texas thing to do. The way my grandfather taught me to ride was this is sort of terrible. But he got a ram, and rams can't stand to have anything on their back. And he put me on this ram's back and tied my wrists to his horns and tied my legs under his belly and let him go.
Gosh.
By the time I got off, I was pretty much a bloody mess.
Oh, my gosh.
This is Texas way to teach you how to be tough, But my dad, in a way, this is sort of like this horse stuff, even though it's for me and Lisa, too. And it's, a bit honoring my father, kind
terrific.
of, a memorial to him in a way.
He really kind of got you interested in everything, and so you say, Dad, thanks to you, I got a place like this, really,
And he died not long ago, so this is sort of for him a bit.
I think it's terrific the way you and Lisa work as a team here. I think that's great. It's like team roping. You got to have it, right?
Yes, sir. Well, number one, I'd be dead if it wasn't for this woman.
Yeah,
it's
really.
I was real insecure and self-destructive and pretty crazy. And she helped me learn to like myself, and all our best work is together.
Well, you've got these great areas around here. You got all the wonderful hills to ride in and everything out there. You encounter some interesting experiences out there on your rides?
Yeah. Well, I love going back in the mountains, because that's part of the way how I put so much muscle on my number one roping horse, is taking him back in the mountains and making him pull them real slow. And Jade, the first time I took her back in the mountains, she'd never been around water, and the trickling of the stream when you go through the canyon before you go up over the first set of mountains. She was not about to go anywhere near that water. I mean, she almost killed me. She went straight up an embankment, and I had to yank her head around to get her turned back down. But so I decided, after I got back over the mountains and got over the wash for the creek going through there, I decided I was going to keep her in that water and get her used to it. And I walked her all the way down, and she'd freak and jump out and sidestep and stuff. But so there's this old guy down there building a dam to redirect the water. So I thought, well, great, we'll just stand here and talk a little bit. And
best way to just relax.
Yeah,
get their minds off of everything and relax them.
Yeah, and just sit on her. And I thought, well, she's doing real well. I was sitting here talking to this old guy for 15 minutes. And all of a sudden, I looked down, and she had found the one dry spot of water. She had all 4 feet on this little island about that big.
Well, I know that roping is big here in the Los Angeles area. I see that people get together on Sundays and the different weekends. There's a lot of calf roping going on. Are you involved in any of that?
Yes, sir. Calf roping's my passion, aside from my Arabians. Gene McLaughlin trained me. He's a world champion trick roper, and he was a real good friend of my dad's. And before my dad died and stuff, Dad wanted Gene to turn me back into a cowboy, so I think he's done it. I'm definitely hooked. He's a real good human being, and his son Cliff is my double. We'd like to ultimately try, experience everything we can. By the time I'm out of here, I'd like to be, a well-respected trainer, and I've got, I always set my goals very high. I'd like to beat Roy Cooper for the world title for calf roping.
That's easy enough to do, right?
Sure, no problem. Next week.